Okay, so your first step obviously would be to open up Photoshop, and I'm just going to show you how to make the chevron shape. So you go File, New, and what you want to do is get a rough canvas size. I usually start off with about 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. Make sure it's at 72 resolution, unless you're doing print of course, in which it'd be 300 pixels per inch. RGB color, 8-bit. The other ones limit some of your effects options, so just stick with 8-bit. And I always go with transparent background. So just hit OK, and now you got your canvas. Now, if your subject's generally going to be on a lighter color, I usually start by filling it black. It just helps me see. So you make sure that your foreground color here is black, which it is, and then you go to your fill tool here, and you fill your background. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the path tool, which is this one. If you hold down on your mouse cursor, you get different options. It's just the pen tool, which should be the default one. So what I'm going to do is you just click for one point, another point, another point, another point, and when it has that circle around the tool there, like you can see, it means it's going to close the path. So go like that. Now I generally keep it on this option up here, the middle one, which means it just makes a path and it doesn't fill it or anything. Now you can edit this path by using the white mouse tool, and sometimes it could be on black, which selects the entire path. You want it on the white one. So you click on your path and you see your nodes, which you can click and drag them around to edit them to look like what you want. So I'm just gonna do this sort of rough, and so this will be our shape. I go down here and make a new layer, and so now we have layer 2. What I do then is I go over to the Paths tab. If your Paths tab isn't open, just go to Window and you'd find it, and it'd be right there, right? Then on the key, drag this down, work path, click and drag it down to the new button here. That way you can make new paths without it interfering with the old one. So then what I would do is on the keyboard hit Control, see that dotted square come up around the cursor, and click on the image there. Now that it's made a mask of the object, which I'm then going to fill white, and how I'm going to do that is where white is already the background color. I'm going to click this arrow tool here, and that'll just rotate it, and I'm going to flood fill it, and now it's white. And then if you use Control D, it'll get rid of your mask, or you go to Select, Deselect Layers. Or rather it would be deselect up there. So then what I do is to get that bevel effect, I would double click on this image here, which will bring up the blending options for the layer. And you go to Bevel and Emboss and click it so that it's checked. You can see a little bit of a bevel here. Now where this is a bigger object, I'm going to increase the size, and what we're looking for is a hard, chisel hard, like that, right? And you can change how deep it looks by doing that, right? Maybe we use, no. A smooth gives you that really nice look, but we'll go with that. You have other options here too, of course, but for our effect, we're just going with that. You could soften the bevel a little bit, make it look a little more natural there. And yeah, just playing with the depth will make it deeper or not. And the size will also, see that? There's about good. So that's essentially your basic shape that you want. You can do all kinds of things. If you didn't like the color, you just simply have to hold down Control on your keyboard again and click on the layer, and it would do the mask around it, and then you click here and change your color to whatever you wanted, and you go to the flood fill tool, and notice how the bevel effect still applies to the layer. And whatever you do to that layer, it's going to apply to the whole layer. So if I put a circle on this same, on layer 2 here, and fill it, it's going to also have the bevel. See? And you can do the same thing with text, actually. If you just click on the text tool, which will make its own layer, because it's a vector object and not a bitmap object. We'll just wait for it to pop up. And then if we wanted to say Chris's shape, and then select the whole thing and make it white so we can see. And your fonts are up here, of course. Choose a good font for this. With the Colony Wars. And you can go along here. When you're on the select tool, usually by default, up here, it'll look like this. And so you can't automatically select everything. I like to go auto select layer, which means then you could select the layer just by clicking on anything there, and then show the transform controls, gives you that bounding box around it. And then if you hold shift on your keyboard and put your cursor over that one of the corners and then click and drag, you can change its size and keep it in proportion. If you were to simply use one of those, it would just stretch it like that, right? So we'll do this, and then you double click to apply the effect or hit enter on the keyboard. And then you can do text effects by double clicking in the blue area here somewhere, and we can apply the same bevel effect. Let's go with this nice smooth one because I like the look of that better. See? So this is what we got. You can play with the effects. You can give it contour, which will change up the shape a little bit. Give it a texture, as you can see. It's got a bubble texture and different things by clicking here. Rock patterns. Let's see how it affects the text down there. It'll do the same to the layer. You got all the same options. So it's just a matter of playing with it. There's a lot you can do. Outer glows and stuff like that, right? Make it pretty cool looking. We're going with red here, so yeah. Basic effects with Photoshop.